All right, are we really surprised that the folks at Sony got a big fat no from the folks at CBS when they wanted to promote the Dan Rather movie, The Truth, with Robert Redford in that starring role, a movie that disputes CBS and how it handled Mr. Rather and his firing, and more or less makes a mockery of CBS itself. So the CBS Evening News, The Late Show, none of them running these ads. Shock of shocks. So the fallout from all of that. Dion Baez here. We've got Joanna Soshinsky. We've got Mike Gunzelman. And Kat Timpf and Dion. I got to get your take on this. What do you think of it?
I find it astounding that even the CBS chief spokesman says he's astounded by how much of untruth is in truth. And I think it's perfect.
Did they really think
CBS.
that they were going to run ads for this?
No, because it makes them look like idiots.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, well, first of all, CBS News sucks. They're not fair and balanced, so we can start off with that. But how you doing?
I'm sure they're watching.
No, the thing is, it's just like ABC's not going to air something anti-Disney. I mean, it just makes sense that they're not going to promote something that's anti what they are about.
The bummer, though, is now they've got even more attention because they're not doing anything for it.
And Robert Redford was on, Good Morning America, Today's Show, talking this, and they were happy to have him.
They should have made a joke about it. Whenever something bad about me is out there, I just say,
But that's the thing, too. When it goes to
goes away.
When you ban something, I think it just makes you look weak. It's like you don't have a good defense for yourself. You can't stand up for yourself and just exactly.
Well, but by the same token, would you take money from someone trashing you?
It's money. Yes,
I would too.
I'd rather admire that.
That's the way to really win.
I mean, how is Dan Rather even?
Well, Dan Rather, he loves this movie, and he loves the way it's portrayed.
But it paints a picture that the stuff that happened, they make a completely different narrative.
Right. Romanticize
so people are going to go see the movie.
Well, that's what CBS said in the statement. It's built on fiction.
They need to pull a Trump and just embrace it and just be awesome, not go after it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Be strong.
You see people like Oliver Stone do this, or to a lesser extent Michael Moore, where they'll take a completely based on real stuff and they'll fabricate something completely different.
But don't you guys worry for your fellow Generation Xers?
And they can make competing movies back and
forth. There are a lot of people who saw Oliver Stone's JFK and swore that is exactly what happened.
Or back into the left.
But that's what's wonderful about this country. Everyone has the right to do that.
So there's people who will go see the movie who's not familiar with the story or not familiar with the event, and they'll believe the movie.
Give me very little hope.
I'm sure this movie will turn out great in theaters.
All right, in the meantime, I do want you to look at this because it says Vimes about all of you. Take a look.
Hey, Pam, it's Andrew. Listen, I can't come into work today. Well, I'm stuck under the bed. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Mommy, Daddy's stuck under the bed again.
Again.
It happens.
Yeah. I think
that happened to my cat
What were we
once.
trying to say? People are coming up with the darndest excuses to get out of work. 4 in 10 workers now have wild things and come up with even wilder excuses to get out of coming to work. You do this all the time with Ina.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, I don't know what happened, but I'm walking funny this morning. That's always a rough one.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
I'm drunk. I'm drunk.
Right,
completely trash.
He's honest, though.
24 hours a day, yeah. The best is, the worst one, but you can only use it one time at a job, is when your father passes away. It's like, well, you can't do that more than once. So
Or grandmother. But one actually did have an excuse. Like, I got a poisoned ham sandwich.
He said, my grandmother tried to poison me with ham. And the very important thing about lying, or calling in sick when you're really not, details are very important. The more details you give, the more true it seems.
Yeah,
my favorite one was the person who called in and said, the universe is telling me to not come into work today. I feel like there are hipster bookstores and Urban Outfitters maybe where they'd be like, I understand.
No, but if this was a survey done, does this mean that there's a whole fraction, there's like a phenomenon going on where people are calling up saying their grandma's trying to poison them with just ham?
Whatever happened to just saying I'm feeling
worried.
Also, you don't want to say you're throwing up. You want to say you have a fever because, like, oh, yeah, sure, you're throwing up. But I think also honesty here sometimes works the best. In fact, it's like, I just can't deal with you guys today. Just let me stay home.
I wouldn't recommend that. But you might just say, look, I'm really just under the weather. Leave it at that.
I don't want to infect you.
Yeah, make it about that.
I had one word. I'll leave names out of it. I remember years ago, it was just giving me way too much detail about bowel movements.
Don't bring me up. Don't bring me up.
I didn't need to go there. I just didn't need to go there. I understand you're not going to be in today.
IBS. Okay.
We're just going to let it go.
IBS.
Right.
Finally, something. Whether you are out of work and you're just going to a restaurant in the meantime, there's a big no tipping policy happening among a number of restaurant chains. They charge you more for what's on the menu, but you don't have to tip. What do you think of that?
I'm not for it. I served for many, many years, and I think that this will take the incentive out of offering.
You served as were you a waiter?
You're in the Army.
No, I served people. Who
You
had to
served
yes.
people.
No,
Okay.
but it takes the incentive out of giving people at the restaurant a good dining experience.
See, I was a
Well,
waitress.
you know the help.
I was a waitress for a long time, but I was the worst waitress ever. I would forget things, and instead of getting
this is
them,
for you.
I'd stand at the table and be like, "Do you guys hate me? Like, do you
I was
hate
a phenomenal
me?"
waiter. I'll tell you, phenomenal. And you know why? Because if I hustled, I got more money.
Yeah, I did that.
Now I know there's no incentive.
I was a waiter at IHOP where you got tips, and then I was a waiter at a country club where the tips were part of the gratuity. And to tell you the truth, you don't really care that much about the people.
Well, the idea for they're putting on is to help
included.
people in the back, the dishwashers, cooks, and all, because they weren't part of this gravy train.
But now
I think it's going to boomerang.
But especially now you have to pay for a bacon, egg, and cheese or an omelet. The prices are going to be higher. Well, some of that food's not even worth paying even
Why
more.
don't they
so you're still
stop
going to go
putting
there.
the tip cup like in a Starbucks where they already charge you
Does
like
that mean-
$25?
Does that mean if you have a regular customer and they slide you a tip, it's a bribe?
As long as it's in cash.
Go to prison.
As long as it's in
Prison.
cash, it's going to be taken.
By the way, I would have tipped you all the time. I would have went there every day.
Oh my
What about me? What about me?
Sorry.
I also
This is
spilled.
not matchmaker. I'm sorry.
You
I
are
spilled a whole bottle of wine.
every time we have
You need
attractive
that
women
money
here,
for
you're hitting on them, even if they're married.
Neil, I would have tipped you, Neil.
Especially if they're
I bet
married.
you would have. All right.